Good morning and welcome to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. Our focus today will begin with politics. My first guest is a lifelong Milwaukee resident who serves as a Wisconsin State Senator representing the 4th Senate District. It's a pleasure to welcome back to Our Issues, State Senator Lena Taylor. How are you?
I'm well. It's so good to be with you.
Always a pleasure to see you. And we've got quite a few things to talk about today. But first, I just want to talk about the fact that you were there to witness the unveiling of Bell Phillips Avenue right there at 4th and North Avenue
Oh my goodness.
this week. How was that?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing because it was historical in so many ways. I mean, she grew up on 4th, her church,
Yeah.
her elementary school, where she got married. I mean, just all of that. But it was also symbolic because it runs parallel to Martin Luther King Drive.
Yes.
And there was a huge historical issue around the Martin Luther King Drive street being done. And many of the businesses did not want to be on Martin Luther King Drive. So they stopped it and created Old World 3rd Street. So the fact that 4th Street will go through to St. Paul is a statement.
Yeah.
You know, it's huge.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was what Vel wanted. You know, other people wanted this street or that street or this, that, or another. And it was what she wanted. And one of the few things that she wanted that had not been accomplished. And I so love that we were able to give her flowers, right, while she was yet alive. And to do this, you know, kind of was the explanation point on all of the historical things that she's done for women. As the first woman.
The first of so many
Yes,
things.
I used to tease her and tell her, you have all the first. She's the first woman, the first African American, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just so many things.
Yeah.
And so it was beautiful.
Yeah,
It was
and the
beautiful.
fact that her legacy is able to live on, and people, if they don't know the history of
Yes.
this little lady with the big voice, then they need to find out. That was amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And we are literally days away from Wisconsin's primary elections coming up on August 14th. And usually the primary elections, there's always a low voter turnout that's expected. But really, this primary election is a game changer in many ways for Republicans and Democrats. Would you agree?
It really is. I mean, first of all, let's just talk about it nationally. These elections that have been coming up, whether they've been specials or whether we're talking about the midterms, ultimately, they have been showing a sign of a blue wave, as Governor Walker has called it. And at the very least, in our place, meaning Wisconsin, it is our state, in particular the gubernatorial seat, as well as state reps.
Yeah.
State senators are up also, but not even numbers like me, so
Yeah.
I'm off right now, so to say.
Off the hook right now, for
Just
sure.
for right now. But I'm out there doing the work, and so
Yeah.
I want to encourage people to vote. You know, Joe Oliver was the first African American to vote in the state of Wisconsin, and my favorite, Ezekiel Gillespie, was the first to have to fight for that right to vote in 1865 and obtain that right to vote when the Supreme Court ruled in 1866 that he did have that right, actually since 1957 that we're saying. So it's important that we use it. It's our voice. And if you are not engaged, then what you're saying is that other people can speak for you. So think about it like this. If less than 10% of people in the last election, statewide election, came out to vote, 90% of the people let 10% of the people, less than 10% of the people, speak for them.
Yeah.
You know, in the Bible, it speaks about not letting the rocks cry out for you. Well, I don't want the rocks to cry out for me. I don't want the 90% to speak for me. I want to be in the percentage, right? That goes to the polls and says, saying what I believe and saying this is who I support and this is what I support and the principles I support. So I hope that people will do that because you've got some local elections, special elections, and some state elections.
Well, you are preaching and giving history lessons this
Girl.
morning. You gotta go. Now, on the ballot, I'll mention just a few of the races. Governor, U.S. Senator, U.S. Representative, like you said, odd-numbered Wisconsin State Senate seats, and you, like you said, are an even number, so not on the ballot this time around. Then there's State Assembly and Milwaukee County Sheriff, to name a few. And with the sheriff race, it's important during this primary specifically because they're all Democrats, and whoever wins this primary, that's who will spend the next 4 years as your Milwaukee County Sheriff. So people
So there
can
really
sleep.
isn't a general.
Oh yeah,
in
absolutely.
that situation.
Yeah,
and people should know that.
got to stay woke. So
that's right. That's right.
why
you got to stay woke
yeah.
and you got to stay engaged, right?
Yeah.
And in the end, don't let everybody else speak for you. Go and do it. And the only other race that I didn't hear is Lieutenant Governor also.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
We
yes.
had
Treasurer.
We had the people here from different races to really give people an opportunity to understand what the issues are and where they stand on those issues. So since we're on the subject, of course, on the 14th, people will need their ID in order to vote. And you, of course, if we go back some time, voted against Governor Scott Walker's voter ID law. So I wanted to know if you feel like this debate is over, or do you feel like there are still a large number of individuals out there who are not being able to vote because of an ID?
So I do believe that individuals have not been able to vote because they have not had access to an ID. Often people minimize it and say, oh, are you suggesting that blacks can't get IDs? Let me be clear. It's not based on race. It's based on poverty. It's based on access. It's not just people of color. It's also seniors and students who often have challenges. The restrictions that have been put on what can be used is a problem. Like, why can't a student ID be used? You have to go through processes to get that. And in other states, they're allowed. Why can't we use your concealed carry card, you know, if you had to go through a check in order to get that? I mean, so different things, right, that I think are processes that make it more complicated. And I know in Wisconsin that people were not able to vote, right, because of the ID and the challenges that they had. And so I do believe it's still an issue. I frankly believe it's the same kinds of issues that people had years ago on being able to go and vote and under Jim Crow laws and the kinds of issues they had to do. And granted, it's not saying how many bubbles are in the soap, but if you are in poverty and you have to have something in order to be able to vote and you can't get access to that, you can't afford to take off or whatever it may be, your hospital flooded and the records aren't there anymore, or you were born by somebody who was a midwife and the records aren't there, or whatever it is that prevents you from getting to that place. My problem is it's a constitutional right to be able to vote. And so I have real challenges with discouraging voting versus encouraging voting. I want to move us from 10% of people voting and 90% not in an important election like a Supreme Court race, right?
Yeah.
To having 90% of the people voting and maybe 10% aren't voting. I mean, think about it. When Iraq first had their voting, 75% of people came to vote to put their finger in the blue ink. So I'm saying that I want to encourage voting. I want to not discourage people. And my colleagues very candidly admitted. Now Congressman Glenn Grothman and others admitted that it was, you know, to chip away at the votes. And so it wasn't because of fraud and it was to disenfranchise.
Well, so that means that debate, like you said, is still alive, and you are going to continue working on making sure everyone has that right.
No question. As long as I have breath, I'll still be kicking on this issue, as Reverend Jesse Jackson would say.
And another issue that you're passionate about is the juvenile justice system. So if you would bring us up to date or tell us the latest on the Lincoln Hills and Copper Lake situation.
Thank you so much for asking.
Yeah.
On the Lincoln Hill Copper Lake issue, first of all, we did get the governor to the place where he agreed that closing Lincoln Hills would be something we would do. The date has somewhat changed. Two committees have been formed for programming and design, both to go forward and dollars to go forward in that fashion. That the design has to connect with the type of programming that's best practice, you know, kind of proven. We've met once. We've also have the national expert that will be working with us. And we're moving that process. We hope to be further in the process by September. And we have a pretty tight timeline. So I'd love to be able to send you that and keep you posted. But really excited. I went to a place called New Beginnings in DC. And their model, they were forced to close their facility. Ironically, last word was Hills
I watched
also.
this on Facebook Live while you were there. Yes, I did. Yes.
And it was so amazing to me. I mean, even the colors, right? It was almost like the colors you'd find in a daycare, right? Kind of vibrant. But their whole whole institution was built on a restorative justice model, which is huge. So I'm very excited that we have a model that we're looking at that was forced in the same kind of way that we were. Spoke to some correctional officers who said, no, I wasn't for it. I didn't agree with this in the beginning. I was a problem. And now saying, but I have seen the difference and I like it. So I'm excited. We're moving not as rapidly as I would like, but I think moving strategically and moving in a very thought-provoking, inclusive kind of way.
Yeah, and most importantly, moving forward. So
yes. But we're also working on doing some things to help with the kids who are there now. That would be more of a community-based visit kind of effort. So progress.
Okay, that's good news. So with that said, the executive director of One Wisconsin Now, he released a statement this past week and pointed out what he called a disastrous record on corrections in Wisconsin. He said since being elected in 1993, Scott Walker is just now returning to Milwaukee to talk about prisons to stroke racial division in the hopes of getting 4 more years in office. He added that he spends more on prisons than universities. I'd like to know what you think about that.
Education as a whole. He spends more on prisons. We have our highest number of individuals in our correctional system in the history of the state under Governor Walker. We've been rated by the feds for inhumane treatment for our juveniles under Governor Walker. What we do with mental health is a challenge, and even though we have been audited before Governor Walker, I would argue that the things that he's done in the system have not necessarily helped. His statement that he made suggesting that he doesn't see value in visiting the institution is shameful. It is utterly shameful. Even the word says, right, to go visit Mr. Pastor's kid, right?
Yeah.
So it's challenging for me that he feels that way, that the voiceless, the least among us, right, that he feels no need, right, to make a connection. I believe that every human being has value. I believe in rehabilitation. There are some people who need to be put in prison and they need to stay there, but not the majority. 90-something% of people will come out. And so rehabilitation is important.
Absolutely.
And under Governor Walker, programming also has not increased appropriately. And more importantly, the percentage of money that the counties get to retain in order to be able to do corrections and do the court system, Governor Walker takes too large a percentage for the state in that regard. So I agree with Wisconsin, One Wisconsin, that they've made a very legitimate statement. Governor Walker also refuses to do his constitutional obligation. The Constitution requires him to pick people to be on a pardon committee and for them to make recommendations to the governor about pardons. Well, he never has to do a pardon if he refuses to pick the people to be on the committee to do the work. Well, that's not doing your constitutional obligation. And if you begin to go out and say that the Democratic candidates who are saying we need to reduce our prison population somehow or another, that's against public safety, or to do the fear mongering that he was doing, is not acceptable. We're number 1 in the nation for incarceration of African American men and now Native American
Wow.
men.
All very interesting. And as we wrap up, we got just a couple of minutes. The past few weeks in Milwaukee have been really tough. But we had Milwaukee police officer Michael Mikowski. He was shot and killed in the line of duty. And that is a reminder to all of us that there are countless men and women who put their lives on the line every single day when they go to work. And so what we did see in this tragedy is the community being able to come together with the police and other elected officials and show that at the end of the day, we all really need each other. So with that said, you've got a national night out that's coming up really soon, August 21st to be exact. Give us the details.
Well, we also are going to recognize Chucky, the officer who died in the high-speed chase.
Yes.
And we're going to recognize that community policing concept that comes from him, working with the young boy who said he was going to miss him, for the officer who stepped up and said, I'm going to be the mentor, right, in place of him passing away. But also, as you said, for our fallen officer, he was going, let's put it in context, he was going to deal with a raid, deal it with opiate, sales and stuff like that. And so this is a huge problem in the nation, not just in Wisconsin.
Right.
And so when you have individuals putting their lives on the line in that way and losing them in that way, it's horrible. And the truth of the matter is that kind of horror of losing someone that's what's plaguing our community every day. So trying to do National Night Out so we can come together so that we can appreciate what officers are going through, that we can appreciate the challenges that families are going through, and try to give us time together to fellowship together and have some ice cream, listen to some music, enjoy some corn on the cob.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what it's all about, and I'll put the details right there on our screen. This National Night Out scheduled again for Tuesday, August 21st at Lincoln Park. It's from 4 to 9 p.m. Free food, giveaways, community resource tables, and a whole lot more, hosted by State Senator Lena Taylor. And you've also partnered with other elected officials to celebrate neighborhood unity and crime prevention. Thank you so much for coming by and just having this conversation today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Come and have some fish from the Inner City Sportsman Club, you know, ride a horse with the Black Cowboys, or you can come and help me beat the firefighters in the kickball game.
You don't have to tell me twice. Thank you again. State Senator Lena Taylor represents the 4th Senate District, which includes Shorewood, portions of Wauwatosa, Glendale, as well as the north and northwestern portions of Milwaukee. When we return to Our Issues Milwaukee, we'll take a look at the immigration debate and more with the representative from Voices de la Frontera. We'll be right back.